Hello everyone, welcome to Desert Succulent. Today we're going to be featuring Echeveria Secunda Glauca, and it comes in different common names such as the Chinese cabbage, the blue Echeveria, old hens and chicks, and the Glaucous Echeveria. This succulent has a densely packed rosette, and usually nga, yung kanyang leaves would start off mainly as green and it will turn pale blue with enough sunlight. Yung kanyang leaves will be forming this compact and low-growing rosette, and each rosette is pretty dense with numerous leaves. If you're gonna be counting yung leaves sa kanyang pinaka-rosette, it could be about 50 or more depending now on the age and the maturity of these Echeveria. You would be expecting na yung kanyang leaves will also be covered with a very thin layer of farina, yung parang white coating sa kanya. And yung tips ng kanyang leaves are also pointy. What I really like most about this succulent is the way it forms yung kanyang pinaka-rosette. From this view, you would see how symmetrical, not really that perfect, pero napakaganda niyang tignan. You can appreciate how each leaf overlaps each other to give us this kind of look. I have also noticed na yung kanilang leaves are very thin as compared with other succulent na very thick, na parang they are really plump and fleshy. But for this one, it's just like this. Sa side view, you would see na napakanipis lang talaga nung kanyang leaf, and therefore you have to handle this with care kasi pag nasagi nyo siya, definitely it could easily break. During its flowering season, it will be giving us lots of flowers in the color of bright yellow, orange, and red. Our Chinese cabbage is in an area where it's receiving yung sufficient amount of sunlight all day long for us to achieve yung kanyang pinaka-compact na rosette. Although even if na ilagay natin siya sa full sun, I have noticed na hindi talaga siya nagbabago ng color, whether it's the bare months or the colder months. Still medyo greenish lang talaga yung pinaka-dominant na color. This one is a very good na contrast sa ating mga colorful Echeverias or other succulents. Watering naman sa kanya is just very typical sa ating mga succulents. You just need to check nga yung kanyang pinaka-soil, whether it's already dry or completely dry, before we water it once again. And in my case, I usually water this one kapag talagang napansin ko na medyo dehydrated na yung kanyang pinaka-leaves. You would see here sa pinaka-bottom na part, medyo wrinkled na siya. Although hindi pa talaga siya super dehydrated. This is just the early sign of dehydration kasi dito sa pinaka-rosette niya or pinaka-center, still very healthy pa or well-hydrated pa yung kanyang pinaka-leaves. You have to make use of a well-draining na soil mix. Isa din ito sa ating mga succulents na fully soaked during the monsoon rains. But it's also one of those succulents na napaka-resilient niya talaga. Napakatibay nitong succulent na to na even if we're gonna be ignoring it, yung literal na papabayaan nyo siya na iwan lang sa ulanan or maarawan man siya, still it would survive on its own. So even if yung kanyang soil is already poor in nutrients, it's gonna be thriving. So propagating this succulent is very simple. Kaya pag beginner kayo or if you want a succulent na mabilis mag-produce ng offsets, then this would be perfect sa inyo. Look at this one. Sa pinakababa, there's a lot of offsets. Ayan, no? 1, 2, 3. May maliit pa tayo dun sa pinakaloob. This by far is the biggest na rosette, but still, diba? Ang gandang tignan nung kanyang mga offsets. Kamukhang-kamukha nga nitong ating pinaka-mother na plant, even there. Ayan. So 360 degrees talaga nakapalibot dito sa ating pinaka-mother na plant. If you wanted to propagate this one, wag na kayong magpakahirap na magtanggal ng isa-isang leaf niya kasi it will take some time for the leaves to grow. Kaya all you can do is just simply cut or separate nga yung kanyang pinaka-offsets like what we have here. This is the biggest by far. We need to remove some of the dried leaves para ma-expose or makita natin nga yung stem kung saan tayo magka-cut. And once we can already see the stem, we can just simply make a clean cut. And there you go. So there's really something about this succulent na napaka-simple niya lang tignan, but it's very elegant at the same time. It doesn't need to have colorful leaves to be an eye catcher. is just the natural beauty of the succulent. And syempre, tanggalin din natin itong mga bottom na leaves na nag-dry na. Ayan, so may natanggal na leaves. So we can just propagate this or ilagay lang natin siya dito and bahala na siyang tumubo on its own. And I forgot to mention to you earlier na itong specific na Chinese cabbage that we are seeing right now is yung napugutan na succulent natin before. So this one was beheaded several months before. Ganito lang yung kanyang itsura. Mapapansin niyo talagang napakaliit lang nung mga offsets. And eventually nga, lumaki na siya and it became like this. So for its grooming and maintenance, it's all about us removing some of its dried na leaves. Ayun o, napakadaming dried na leaves. We need to remove these leaves to give way for the new offsets. Ayun o, may nakita ako agad doon. Yung white na yan, those are actually new offsets na natabunan nga nitong ating mga dried leaves. We've been very busy for the past days and hindi na natin nga natanggalan ito nung kanyang pinaka dried na leaves. Ayan, ganyan ang itsura niya. So itong mga ito are the perfect na breeding ground ng ating mga pests such as mealybugs, but surprisingly wala naman ako nakita mga mealybugs, kaya it's very important talaga na dapat as much as possible we need to keep yung kanilang leaves dry, kasi pag dry sila they are not prone sa mga pests and other fungal diseases. So napakabait nitong succulent na to. Look at this one. Ayan, 1, 2, 3. May isa pang maliit doon. Nagpatong-patong na sila. Ayan, nasaktan natin yung isang leaf niya. Yung ginagamit pala nating pot dito is just yung plastic one. It's 3 inches deep and 5 inches in diameter. And so far, hindi pa naman niya na fully outgrown yung kanyang pinaka-container. But in any case, in the future na-outgrown niya na nga yung kanyang pinaka-container, then we have to transfer it. So what I really like most about this kind of plastic pots is that napakabilis na tanggalin nitong ating succulent, just in case we will be repotting this in the future, especially if yung ating succulent is already root bound like this, na talagang ililift mo lang siyang ganyan and sasama entirely yung ating pinaka soil, and therefore in the future we can just make use of a bigger pot na pabilog din and just simply transfer it like this one. So like we have mentioned earlier, you have to check for some pest infestations. I also apply yung ating mga broad spectrum fungicides sa kanya every 3 to 4 months to prevent nga na magkaroon siya ng mga fungus or fungal infections. And also they are considered safe. They are not toxic to both humans and animals. Kaya you really don't need to worry if you're gonna be growing this kind of a succulent. And that's all for our Chinese cabbage. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You may also visit our Facebook page at Desert Succulent PH.